what's interesting, where I want to pick up is this next piece, right? Because we actually have the original drawing at the museum of this Pell piece. And you picked up, this is interesting because here I see a CIA piece, a
Right.
CIA men. But Pell was also a kind of older writer, a style writer as
Right.
well.
Right.
What influence did he have on you, and why did you pick up on his name?
To be honest with you, I found out about that after I started writing it. Everybody was telling me, you know, there's another Pell, right? You know, there's another Pell. And I'm like, all right, I guess so. I guess I'm Pell too. Then I just like those letters, and I just wanted to do it. I think also because of Kel, I wanted to kind of do the same kind of letters, you know. So I wanted a similar name, so as another alias. So whenever I wanted to do a different alias or a piece, I wanted to do a Pell instead of a COS or something. So I decided to write Pell too. But
Okay.
but to be honest with you, I had heard, but I wasn't really sure. But I went with it anyway.
And you guys did some great. I think I have a picture here of the Kel Pell O'Hells or Pell Kel O'Hells.
This one I did by myself. Actually, I went to the one tunnel by myself. I went solo and did that one.
And here we have a piece that you and I did in the one tunnel, the Carl that's crossed out by Cap. And that character, if you look, I did that character. I wasn't very good at characters, but that's in the Subway art book. And you rocked this nice little COS piece.
Yeah, that was thick right there.
Yeah, that is a chunky style. Yeah, I sort of remember this night. There wasn't nobody around. It was.
Yeah, tell me about it, because to be honest with you, I don't remember.
Yeah,
I don't remember ever doing this piece at all.
I came up with paint, and yeah, I don't think I don't remember who else came with us. I think it was just you and I.
Really?
In the one tunnel, yeah.
Nice.
Little COS throw up.
I didn't do that.
No.
No, I didn't do that. I think Kel did that, and I have a feeling
you know
that was
what?
done.
You're right.
I think that was done when I was in the Marine Corps.
Right. Kel was never really good at throw ups. Like he could do nice style throw ups, like you know what I mean? Those really nice. Like you guys did those simple styles were beautiful. Oh, here's a classic.
That's a classic night right there. That night started in Gun Hill. And again, that was another night where it was a big production. It was like about 12 riders. We started off at Gun Hill. I don't know how far we got, but like the skies opened up and a huge rainstorm started coming down. And right underneath the L, there was, for some reason, there was an 18-wheeler tractor trailer parked right underneath. So we were all jumping from the L onto the top of the tractor trailer. There was one rider, I won't say any names, that got scared and didn't want to jump. We kept urging him, come on, man, jump. It's not a big deal, just jump. And so we finally jumped down, and from there we walked to Esplanade, and a bunch of Puerto Ricans and black kids walking through that neighborhood at night with bags of paint to walk up to Esplanade was kind of funny. But once we get there, it was on. I did the mouse that night, and next to that there's like this little white astronaut character, and next to this piece was a NAC 143 piece with me that night.
Right, NAC 143 being Crash's cousin.
Yes. Yep.
No, or Daze's cousin, rather.
Was it Daze or Daze's cousin?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This was... Tell me something about this piece, about Baudet, and for some reason, for the obvious reason, the rock stars really kind of
I gravitated very
overdid
much
it with the Baudets, didn't we?
Yeah. Oh, I loved Baudet. I loved all those characters. And that was one of those are one of the things that I lost. I had like this huge Baudet collection of magazines and stuff like that, junk waffles and books, and I would get a lot of inspiration from those magazines, and I would copy a lot of those characters and would always throw them up on the piece. And I always believed that the Baudet characters like worked well with graffiti, with the way the lines of their characters, the roundness and the different curves and everything. It just worked so well with graph, and it could have been anybody. It could have been not just us, but any other writer could have put up some good Baudet characters, and it would have worked well.
Yeah, but also for us, I think some of the
I think we were obsessed with Cheech Wizard.
Yeah, some of the philosophical
yes,
parts of
because
this.
it wasn't just the drawings themselves, but what came off those pages in the stories in those magazines was also incredible. Was also inspiring and motivating also.
Yeah, I was talking to you earlier about you know, the Baudet broads and his characters and how my interest in women were to pursue this kind of imaginary
that kind of look, right?
That look, that type of woman, that energy, that spirit,
yes,
that soul. Let's just say. And you had other names. You got this badge 357 drawing
yes.
that you shared with us, and kind of a classic style. But here's a badge piece you did.
Yeah, I think that's the only one I ever did, really.
Who'd you paint this with?
That was I want to say it's a pad, but with Kel.
Yes,
Kel did
the
a
pad
pad,
2.
right? Pad.
Yeah, it's
Kel
the
did a
pad 2. Kel did a PAD 2. I remember that. Yes, with a character. This weird. He always had these weird characters.
And I always had those. And I used to draw these little characters too.
Yeah, these are classic characters. Actually, these are, really those MTA CYA characters, right?
Yeah.
But also, I'm trying to think of where else. I mean, I wouldn't tie this to like Knock or Stan, so to speak.
No, I'm trying to more. I would say it goes back to MTA. These kind of characters,
Right?
the big afros, the headphones, the I love you hand signed, and because that little the I love you thing is goes way back. I've done that for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
That even if you go back to that COS Rock 79, where it's got like this little alien character, I even had him doing that.
Right. Let's show people that.
Right there, yeah.
Yeah, you could see that again.
And I think that's like an early try at a Baudet character.
Almost looks like an ant. It's weird.
Yeah, right. And we did this up on the St. Lawrence. This was like early on a Sunday morning, and we just went up on the St. Lawrence layup right there, right off the platform.
Right off the platform,
so,
you could do that then. By the way, that's J-Lo's old neighborhood.
Yes.
That neck of the woods.
Castle Hill.
Yeah. So, I remember this whole car. This is a whole car you did with Shy. And it's interesting, again, when we talk about characters, let's just focus on that idea of drawing characters back then. Because I remember these were the characters I was learning off of like Cool and those guys.
Right.
With the big fro and
the big ski. Remember everybody would wear the ski goggles. I remember Shy had a pair of ski goggles.
Yeah. That B-boy look.
Yeah.
A better look at him now.
There he is. There's, and then there's one next to mine in my piece too. There's one that's I replaced the O with a character.
Right. And you did the double 80, you know that.
Yes, I did.
I can only imagine what kind of night that was.
Oh my
You know,
God.
here's the thing. To me, like I was saying, you know, like when I think about us and I'm going to come back to Shy because I made a point of this earlier, right? About the influence of fuzz and that type of painting, right? Where it was just dot, dot, dot. It was all
Yeah,
colorful and just, you know, simple outline, and you got a dope piece. And Shy loved that.
he
He
did.
really, really loved that.
He really did.
This is a great whole car. You and Van too. Um, Tell me about this whole car. I know Kel had done the outline for him.
Right.
Um, you did your outline, and here's the thing that's interesting to me is that this particular piece right here, at this period in time, was right up there with Dondi.
Okay.
And you know, in style, the cleanliness, design.
This is one of this one I do have to agree with you is one of my cleaner pieces.
Yeah, yeah.
I think I was pretty much in the zone that night. And that
Yeah,
that was like I
both
said,
of
that
you
was
were. I
a
mean, look
bunch
at
of
this
Dorito
Van
later.
too.
That that that
That has to be
that
Mike's
to me,
best piece.
that van got muscles. When I see that piece right there, that right there got muscle. It like it jumps out at you.
Okay, so folks, this is probably one of the I would put it up there as one of the top 5 whole trains painted style trains painted. There's a lot going on in this that I kind of just want to just briefly point out about. Yes, there's amazing style. Uh, the color palette is ridiculous. I mean, you guys brought out the sandalwood tan and
Yes.
federal safety green, and you can go on about. We'll go on about that, but also there's a story, like you said, you were alluding to that before,
Right.
about mapping out an experience in a whole car and a fantastical experience, an immersive experience, and this is the love is
Fantasy.
and fantasy is a whole
Yep.
car that you and Kel did. Um, I got to
This,
tell you,
this was like
this
at the height of my Baudet obsession. Like everything had to have Baudet in it, and I just and I was obsessed with the like the Baudet broads and the way they looked and the thickness of them and I just wanted to do like a love is piece, and I thought that was like always a cool phrase, love is, and just put whatever at the end of that. But this is, I've always wanted to do this, and me and Kel talked about this car for the longest time. And when we when we did this piece, and we had such a great time that night. So we did this up in Gun Hill, and again, that was that night. The D connection was pumping. We had our little 35 millimeter canisters, if you know what I mean.
Mhm.
And and I remember a couple of times, like stuff would fall on. There was we would take turns, like cans would fall to the street or something would fall down to the street, and we would take turns. Okay, it's your turn. You got to go get that. So when I think something had fallen, it was my turn to go get it. So I go down. I climb down the L pole to go get it. And I'm about to come back up. As I start climbing back up, sure enough, here comes the cop car rolling by. And I just froze. I froze on the pole just halfway up. They just watched them roll by. They never saw me just
Wow.
right there on the pole. And I just came. Then I just shimmied myself right back up there. Oh man.
Amazing. How many cans did you guys have for this production?
Jesus
I mean,
Christ. I don't even know, because there's so many colors in there.
I mean, it's crazy. I mean, you've got
If you try to break it down, it's ridiculous. I gotta say there had to be like maybe 40 colors in there, maybe more.
possibly, but also exotic colors and
Yes.
think colors that, you know, are hard to find at that point. You know, the hot raspberries and the sandalwood
Hmm.
tans and these colors. And this piece strikes me as a knock outline. Um, um, I wonder if this is, I'm pretty sure this might have been a knock outline, or this may have been, um, I guess, influenced by him painting with knock in Brooklyn, that
Mm,
style that he did with Dondi and them.
right.
Um, I don't know if he's still on, but I would ask him about that. But I again, my excitement about this whole car is because if 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 you were to look at TMT and where they left off, and even TDS where they left off in terms of production,
Hmm.
right? Of background productions and stuff like that with wild style letters. Um, this was kind of like an answer, right? Because it was like a full on, um,
It,
narrative going on,
it was
not
yeah,
just in
it was
colors
the
and
whole thing.
images,
Yeah.
but also like I said, the poetry, the words that you guys were expressing about love and fantasy.
Right.
Incredible.
So it was that was, and the whole kicker to the end of that night is that when we were there all night. We were there all night. We get on the train. We finally leave the layup, and we get on the train. It's early in the morning. We sat down, and we look up, and who's sitting across from us? It's Case's mom is sitting right across from us, and she's looking at us. She's looking at us. We're looking at her, and she's just giving us that look like she knows who we are, but she didn't want to say nothing. She just like gave us that look like you little boys.
Y'all get in trouble. So here's the pad and the badge. There's a good picture of it.
She had this look of disapproval on her face. You guys, yes, there it is. Oh, and it had
So
a
now
Henry
this is the
too.
point where Henry, Henry was in the picture, right? And it was cool because he was able to kind of catch a lot of these pieces as well. Oh, and here's that really, not to clown on Kel for his
That
characters,
hippie.
especially after he dedicated this to me.
Oh wow, that's right. For man, it's like a hippie.
Yeah, this pad I
That
like,
that pad is tight.
small and tight.
I like the look. I like the colors he used on the Henry
Yeah.
and the way
So
the way the
tell me
black
about
make
painting with Kel. What did you learn? What did you like?
Kel,
What,
let me tell you, with Kel pushed me, and Kel, um, we were. This is the way Kel put it. I'm left-handed, he's right-handed, and together we became the left and the right side of the brain of rock stars. So
yeah.
when we came together, we collaborated and we planned everything. We planned okay, not just what we were gonna do, but Shy, this is what you're gonna do.
Yeah.
Van, this is what you're gonna do.
Yeah.
This is it was incredible. And it was just we would sit for hours. He would come over my house and we'd smoke and freaking and draw and just figure things out and he always had like that look he always had like with those eyes. You'd be like, yo, dude, come on, and he was always pushing me. And
And
that's the one
and
thing I
what was
loved about him.
driving him though, like between that whole thing, like with you, because I know when I'm not around, he's different,
Uh,
with you guys. What was driving him? What would he say about like, oh, we got a piece and kill this and was he concerned about other writers or being better than other writers?
Always. Oh, always wanted to be the best. Always. It was always about being the best. Always being rock stars on top. Always being the best. And that's the one thing because like I said, like I told you, like you know who I am. I'm very laid back, and then I'm like, yeah. And he's like, no, come on, we got to do this, and he kept pushing me, So and he made, and even though it was Rockstar, it was my whole crew, but when Kel came into the picture, he made it rock stars. Where with me it was Rock on City, but when Kel came along and we started putting ideas together, it became rock stars, and he was the one that really uh, gave us that status, that gave us that whole top crew status when Kel came along and pushing everything. And even after I left, he kept pushing rock stars and kept that status up.
Yeah, I mean, and again, but is also that you had, you know, in terms once you left, Shy and Min and
And
me and
men
Duro,
too.
Min was a monster. He
Men,
was
oh my
he
gosh,
was
he was relentless. Men was
ultra rock
relentless.
star, like all city king.
Yep, men was relentless. That was someone who was really on a mission right there. Was men.
Yeah, and he learned, and he was just a terrific byproduct
Yep.
of the history that he came from and learned from, being on Broadway with
Yeah.
RTW and Bill Rock and
Yep.
War and all those guys.
And
And I mean,
I remember meeting men in the one tunnel. He was him and band too were in the one tunnel, and we were doing, I don't know which pieces we were doing, but I remember meeting him, and he was like, like 3 feet tall, and he was just all over the place, man. And I took a liking to him like right away.
yeah. So this piece that we're looking at, it's a Shy 147 COS with a K 207 that Kel did,
Right.
and he took it upon himself to do this tribute card to you guys. And again, he's infamously wrote, "Caught you sleeping, MTA, ha ha ha." Uh, but and again, in terms of personality, you were gone, and he's here proclaiming, "Rock stars will return. Like we'll be back. Don't
Yeah.
worry."
No worries.
And but again, the colors, the sandalwood tans and the ivory yellows, and like the thing that I loved about him was color,
Yes.
and he really um, he picked that up from Part and TDS and Fuzz and Knock and TMT, but he was again this once there was this kind of there was this idea at the time that there was a rock star's palette, a color palette.
Was
You
there
know,
really? I didn't know that.
yeah, there was. I remember Ernie once telling me that he was pushed up on about it, like, yo, stop biting the rock star colors. Uh,
Hey,
but here,
you can see it right here. You can see
yeah,
it in
no,
this
this is
car
the
right here.
this is I think again kind of a maturity level here is incredible. And of course, I want people to recognize that, we're putting up TDS, and we become part of the TDS family. And the thing that people don't understand about rock stars, in that we are kind of a conglomerate and association of many, many crews
Yeah.
that were already established, that, like with TFP,
Right.
and TDS,
From
and
CIA
CIA,
and CIA.
TKA, and but we were there, and we were clearly, like I said to you before, kind of like the 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 heirs of the previous generation,
Yes.
where TMT and TDS left off, and the bar was set really, really high. I always say, and I can defend this, that after us, there was a period where the style wasn't even as good, the productions weren't as good and or ambitious, right? and that there was a period until there was an adjustment where you had the next generation of style writers, you know, painting uh, uh, not as complicated per se, and structuring letters in a certain way. Not the painting really took a whole different direction when you
Right.
start looking at John Juan, Vulcan. After what Futura did, that was a
Yes.
breakthrough.
Yeah.
But I know that, and you know, I remember expressing this and pointing this out in Spain on one of those Henry's walls with all those pictures about the difference in style in within a period of like between 1983 and 1990. Like there was this weird gap, this awkward graffiti style going on that I wondered. I was like, yo, there's kind of this lapse. You know, did you guys not see Chain? Did you not see Cool? Did you not
Yeah.
see
Yeah.
Lee? But yeah, no, and not to disparage that generation, because that generation was the style war generation, right? They
Right.
were fighting the buff more than we were. They
Yeah,
were
we were.
fighting each
Yeah,
other
for
more
real.
than us,
Yeah.
you know. But some really dope writers who are part of the Rockstar family now, you know, like came out of that, you know, the Dash and Wayne and West and all these guys. So
Thank you
anyway,
much.
cause
Yeah.
coming to back where we are, you know what? Let me go back to that other one, because this is the
This
Pel
one.
Cal O'Hells,
Yeah. We did two of them. I don't know what I don't know where the other one is. I don't have
right?
pictures
The
of the
purple
other one.
one, the icy grape one,
Yeah. But this one got crossed out. And this one's my
right?
favorite one. Yeah, we did
Right.
this one, I believe we did this one in Esplanade, me and Kel. And it was just me and him that night. And there was another this is another one where me and Kel would just like sit down and like these are the colors we're gonna do and this is how we're gonna do it and the term oh hells, if you remember band two would always say that oh hells, oh hell. He would end like almost every sentence with oh hells. So we were like so we was like, you know what, we're gonna do a Pel Kel oh hells. So yeah, these
Did you
colors,
did
these I love this car. This car was beautiful when it first rolled out, and then like I don't even know if it even lasted a week before it got crossed out like that. But I think you still got the windows. The windows still have paint on them. I think.
when you look at something like this and reflect back on all these images and this illustrious history that you have, and you know, to be honest, we don't have, you know, we were able to get as many assets as we possibly could, and there are more assets out there somewhere of your work. You've done a lot, um, but as you look back and you know, here you and I are after so many years talking about this, and there's this thing called an iPhone with a video, and there's this thing called Instagram that allows us to reconnect, and a laptop that allows us to recompile our story.
uh,
Who would have thought all of this?
Let me tell you. I'll tell you one thing though. Kel saw it. Because I remember Kel talking about Apple computers back in when I came home from the Marine Corps, and he was talking about. I said, "This is the future right here. This is it. Apple, Apple, Apple." And I remember when he had the loft in Brooklyn. I think you were living there too,
Of
right?
course, yeah.
You
We had
had
the studio there.
you had the studio there, and I remember the Palm Pilot had just come out, and he
Yeah,
was
we
like,
had everything.
and he was like, they're gonna be he was like, watch, they're gonna come out with a phone like this and all this, and I'm
Yeah,
like, yeah, get out of here. I'm like,
yeah.
and look, here we are right now.
We were definitely techie nerds, sort
Yes.
of. But you know, to me, all of this becomes so important, right? And bridging space, in that yeah, we are all kind of concerned about technology, and you know, it's the kind of control we give of it
Right.
of our lives to it, that rather. And yet you're able to kind of create this for the people that are following us to have insight into your story, your history. What was the city you lived in? What is the work you do now? And more importantly, that you and I get a chance to talk about historical facts, right?
Set the record
We're not
straight.
known to kind of like ingratiate ourselves.
Distort, fake news, fake
Yeah,
alternative facts.
no, no. But that said, you know that um, I understand the excitement about people in the graffiti community getting to see who you are and getting to see your work, and that in fact you are still very much interested in the culture. You know, you're still practicing. You sent me this image of you painting a small model train, and you really haven't really lost step.
I've always continued to, even though I don't really, even though over the years I don't have a let's say a huge collection of work where I was just like constantly drawing because you know, taking care of family and just everyday life. But there was always times where I would sit down and draw. There were days where I would sit down and draw, and my wife encouraged me. She's been encouraging me for years to get back into it, you know. And I finally woke up. Finally woke up and said, you know what? Let me get into it. You know what woke me up was last year. I'll tell you. Last year when I went to that show and I saw you and I saw Randy and I saw a lot of guys there that I hadn't seen in years. And I saw that, and I actually, because I never went to any shows. I always stayed away from it. I stayed away from social media. I didn't want to hear the drama. I didn't want to hear nothing. I didn't want to hear none of it. And I went last year, and it just like opened my eyes, and I had to put my work out there, my story out there, from coming from me, not from somebody else. I had to tell it myself. So I've been, for this whole year, I've been drawing and doing things and trying to find different mediums to use, and now it's been a year since then, and I want to tell my story. I want to show my work. I want to show what I've been doing. I want everybody to know who I am, who Cos Rock was. You know, so bottom that's where I'm at right now.
I'm right there with you, man. I've been kind of fanning out since you've been online. But now that we have you and folks that are joining us, I want to encourage you, if you're out there, to ask Kaz a question. I know some of you may have a question for Kaz. I can't imagine he answered everything about him. Um, I mean, we got a lot of heads here, you know, who have been listening. Matzarab, all ears, I hear you. Bugs, Top Mob, KMS Crew, I see you. What's up? Sess, I see you. Cope, I see you, brother. Nate, One Design, I hear you. He's saying, listen to your wife. Yeah, so if you guys have any questions for Kaz, please pass them
Well,
on.
and
Somebody's asking when are you planning to paint again?
when am I planning to paint again? Actually, this Sunday.
No way.
Yeah, me and Cope. We were supposed to paint last
All
Sunday.
right.
Something came up, and then we were supposed to paint tomorrow. But
Right.
I have things I got to get done around here. So we settled now on Sunday, painting on Sunday.
Okay, good.
So we're gonna do a wall. We're gonna do a wall somewhere in the Bronx. We're gonna do a
When
wall.
was the last time you painted a wall?
Actually, last year with him, right after a month after the show, I did a wall with Cope in the Bronx.
You got a question from Arndt69. Have you ever painted a train outside USA?
No, no. I've always painted right in New York. In New York.
Jason Martinez asks, missed the beginning. Who were some of your inspirations again?
Sly 108, Take 5, Puma, Um, who's the other big ones? Butch and Case. I remember seeing Butch and Case cars before I even met them.
Hmm.
Clyde, Comet, Blade, all those
All the
guys.
old greats from
All
that
the old
period.
greats,
Yeah.
yeah.
Steel Wheels 360 asks, when are you going to get on the freights? I don't know if that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Worse Than Sacks asks, what's the best raid story? Oh, Kel's here. Kindle 2. He asked. He mentions Kindle 2.
Kendo 2. Wow.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Yeah. Kindle and Box Top. Those guys from the
Yes.
Six Line.
Yes.
Yeah. That's, one of the interesting things. I think that's kind of I always thought was unique about you and me and Randy was that we 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 kind of traversed two boroughs, two important spaces, right? The
Mm-hmm.
South Bronx and the Upper West
And
Side,
yep.
and we got to see a lot. Hey, Nicer's, he's up here. Let me read what Nicer says.
Uh-oh.
He says, I grew up in Longwood where I met Van too, and he showed me a black book of yours, and that changed my life. How do you feel about influencing the next generation?
Ooh, I never really thought about it that way. Just because I've been out of the game for so long, that my influence on other writers, I never really thought that my style or my pieces influenced anybody. Because
Ooh, mira.
I've always downplayed my work, So
Yeah, yeah, you are always very humble. Oh, and I'll share this tidbit because we were talking about this earlier, about you were away, and I had already. This is about '84 for me, and then I I was already in Parsons, and I made my first graffiti sculpture, but it wasn't a true letter sculpture, and that I clearly remember the epiphany was that you and I were walking uptown and on Columbus Avenue, and I saw a stainless steel signage that was
right.
protruding off of a restaurant, and I was like, "That's it. That's what's going to
That's
happen.
it.
That's what has to happen for graffiti." And that was one of the. And right after that, I made the small letter K.
Great. Yep.
But I clearly remember you were there with me, so that was a big moment for me.
Nice.
KMS Crew says, Kaz, first off, much respect and welcome back.
Thank you.
But back in the days, what part of the culture to you was most important? Was it hand styles, throw ups, or pieces?
Pieces. Hands down
Pieces.
pieces. Hands down
Yeah.
pieces. I wasn't much for bombing insides or throw ups. It was pieces. Always pieces.
Yeah. Your style masters. That the Wayne RTW, what's up? This question's a good one. Talk the difference about paint back then to now.
The paint back then, let me tell you, I feel when I painted last year with Cope, I felt like a toy because all these different, because back then it was so basic. It's like Rusto, Krylon, Red Devil, fat
Epoxy.
caps, yeah, fat caps off a Niagara spray starch, and the cap, and I would do outlines with the cap that came right with the can. Now you got all kinds of different caps. You got all kinds of different paint and pressures and all that. And I'm like, whoa, how do I do this? And they're like, nah, it's easy. Just do this. And I'm like, yeah, look, I did that piece last year. And to me, it's whack. Everybody says like, oh, that's cool, but like, I don't know. But yeah.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I did a little Leo piece. I was out the other night with Kat, and people know this. I paint maybe once a year. I don't. It's weird. I don't really have the bandwidth for painting sometimes. But style, yes, I love style writing.
Yeah.
But I gotta say, it's amazing to see what became of
Like
spray paint and
it's
tips.
amazing. It's amazing. Some of the work I see, like the work that Tats crew does
Oh
with
yeah,
spray
for sure.
paint, always spray paint. There's one artist, I believe he's from Spain, Beto Lansky, I think that's his name.
Alberto,
And
yeah,
yes, amazing, amazing work, all with
yeah,
spray paint.
yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
I'm in awe of when he posts his stuff, it's like I'm in awe of the stuff he does with spray paint.
Yeah.
Like
I mean, if you know, the last interview I had with Hyro is worth checking out because there's a whole culture uh, of hyper photorealism that just is insane. It's like photographs.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
Tarazism, what gave you the idea for the arrows you used when you would intertwine before shooting out? Was it from comics?
Not no, not really. No, there's just whatever came out of my brain right to my hand, pretty much. It was not that I was looking at anything or inspired by some comic book. It was whatever came from here to my hand. That was it.
So now, cause now that you're kind of jumping back in and looking at everything that's transpired, and that all of a sudden there's a museum of graffiti existing that's focused on actual graffiti, on style writers, on people
Yeah,
like
yeah.
yourselves, like you rather, and others that were with you. Um, what's your take on that?
I think it's awesome, dude. It's because this whole history needs to be documented.
Yeah.
There's so many chapters in this history that it has to be put all in one place because it's not my history. It's just a very small part of this whole graffiti history.
Yeah.
Because it goes back from late '60s all the way to the early '90s. There's so much history there. So many guys that have been forgotten. So many writers out there. There's so many
Do you
stories out
feel
there.
forgotten?
Huh?
Do
Um,
you feel
it not if I'm forgotten, it's because I chose to be that way. Because I
right?
decided to move away from the whole scene. Because to be honest with you, once I came back and I tried writing with Randy when I came back in '85, I tried it a couple of times, but then after that, it just I lost my enthusiasm for it. I still
Would
do.
you ever paint with Kel again?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, come on, man. Absolutely, dude. Absolutely. Absolutely, man. In a heartbeat like that, man. You, it
Yeah.
was you, Min, Randy, all of us, dude. Mike, I need to, me personally, I need to mend some fences with Mike. So that's
Okay.
another story. Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. Randy's been out there somewhat, and he's still quite good. He's always been a very good letter writer. He's
Yes,
always
he has.
yeah. That just kind of is a natural for him. Um, I, uh, I admire that about him. I always felt that the pressure I had as a young writer, being in this group of people. I mean, and I always say, if you really want to understand me, get to understand maybe that picture on the train tracks with you guys. Because I was this little guy looking at, even though Randy was a year older than me,
Mm.
um, he was really prolific. And then of course we start associating with all these really good writers. I mean, you guys were the heavy hitters. And I'm over here hitting insides with Kid 56 and others. I mean, I have my own story, but that said, is like of trying to prove myself to you guys, and also that there was always like this uh, uh, sense of responsibility of being like the junior rock star,
Mm.
like the little guy, and
Never that, brother. Never that,
yeah,
brother.
well, I learned a lot, right? And me and Min, so to speak, because he and I were the younger ones that had a lot to prove. He truly overcompensated. Like he just went all city king, right? Like I wasn't that ambitious, but being the younger guys, we had a lot to prove, um, on the strength of our crew, but also on the strength of history, right? And you can clearly see that when Min talks about that in Style Wars,
Yes.
his reverence for history. But for me, the only way I could have ever achieved that was to do something radical, like get into sculpture. And
Let me tell you, your work is amazing, bro. Your work is so amazing. Where you started and where you're at now, the work you do is amazing.
yeah, I mean, and look, and you have an important part in that. You know, that's if you want to know about your impact, if people want to understand me, like I said, I point back to those people I'm associated with, and of course, Randy being Randy, that's just an important source. But then there's you and Shy and Dondi and Duro and Min and like all these people
Yeah.
that come into that story. And what I want people to walk away from this, as somebody pointed this out, actually, they were talking about how interconnected writers are,
Mm-hmm.
right? How their lives are woven together through this act of writing. And now all of a sudden, it's anywhere you go in the world.
It's worldwide. It is. It definitely is. But our connection is goes so much more deeper, though. It's like because we were truly. I mean, and I still consider you guys. You guys are family to me.
Of course.
You guys are like the brothers I never had.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
And we got blood family,
yes,
in
there's
our
blood
family.
there.
And he's an artist, so
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
My
Drawing
nephew.
Nudes. Check him out. Drawing Nudes. That's my son. He's got
Yeah,
great work.
yeah, yeah. So it's when you think about where we are today, and yeah, like what we leave behind, what are your kids going to know about you, and that when um, I'm finding, and writers do the same thing, when we start telling these stories, we keep these spirits, this history alive, this oral and visual story alive. And what's nice about this, that you're coming out now, that the world is going to get to be a little bit more familiar with you, because whatever I do or Kel does, or Keen and Chucky out in London, and
Mm-hmm.
the other extended rock family, that is keeping that legacy alive. And again, we're just scratching the surface this evening on a lot of this
A
stuff.
lot of yes.
But it the images illustrate, right, that interconnectedness over time to so many important artists and so many important moments.
Absolutely. It's like when just is you could just see it the night of Henry's show, the Art versus Transit show. That was just like it was like a family reunion that night.
Yeah.
Seeing guys there, seeing guys there that you haven't seen in 30, 40 years. And it was amazing, and sharing stories, and it was awesome.
And that it comes to the Bronx, right? People have always shitted on us in the Bronx. We contribute so much to culture and so much
Yeah.
to art history. And
Yeah, you have
so I was very proud of that moment. And so, Kaz, as we wrap this up, I want to, on behalf of my crew over at the Museum of Graffiti, Alan Kett and and Alice and Frieden and the rest of the crew, I want to really extend a lot of love and appreciation that you took your time. You're a rare bird in all of this. So to catch you and Kel in one shot was super dope. I'm sure people are going to talk about this, and yeah, you guys who held out for for this talk. I appreciate you, and I see you out there. And yo, Kaz, any shout outs, any last minute thoughts you want to share with?
I wanna just shout out to my wife, I love her very much. She's been pushing me. My wife Dion. I want to shout out my kids, my 3 kids who are amazing artists. My son Nicholas, my daughter Amber Lee, and my other daughter Angelina, who are all very creative. Um, you guys at the Museum of Graffiti, um, Kel, and every writer out there who knows the truth, who knows what the true experience of being a New York City writer back in the 70s and 80s was like.
And you give props to the 90s because they,
The
there was
90s
another
too, yes,
decade
yes.
that
But I was,
really,
but by the 90s, I was doing other things, you know.
for sure, for sure. But what we recognize them too.
Yes, we do.
And Mano, you and I will pick this up on the other side. I love you and I thank you for
I love you
everything
too, brother.
from day one, always ROC.
Thank you.
And this is before Jay-Z and Rock
Yes.
Nation, and much respect to them, but this is the true story of rock and the rock stars.
Thank you, brother. Thank you for having me, man.
Como siempre, con amor.
Ahí.
I'll talk to you later.
All right, brother.
Thank you, everybody.